Let's go ahead and watch it.
I'm going to put you into the hot take machine here for a second, if you'll indulge me first. I feel like you are so tapped in, and I listened to you on the broadcast. I feel like you are very tapped into not just NBA basketball, but everything within the sort of ecosystem of NBA basketball, NBA Twitter, media, narratives, all of these things. And I don't know if you saw the clip, but it was, I believe it was in the conference finals. We were discussing whether or not a Miami-Denver series would be bad for the NBA. And look, I think there is a self-perpetuation that exists within the way we cover the NBA. And I recognize that it is a star-driven league and has been for decades. But I've also been told that the second we start talking about a team other than the Knicks, Celtics, Lakers, Warriors, whatever, the legacy franchises, that people turn the channel.
Right.
And to me, there's an element of, well, if you're 90% of your coverage focuses on 5 players and 90% of your coverage focuses on 10, five teams, then when you tell someone something's important, they're going to ignore it. Right. And that's kind of how we arrived at this Nikola Jokic stuff. I really believe that. Yep. It's also Mountain Time. It's a West Coast team that's not a legacy franchise. They're not getting a lot of Saturday primetime games at 8:30 during the season.
And this is why I'll say it's on both sides. It's not just one-sided. It's not all up to the consumer. It is ultimately as well up to the these media outlets to make the post. All right. Like the Sacramento Kings, I think there's nothing about Sacramento that says, they shouldn't have got pushed more this season. We're talking about a team that has a high-paced offense. We're talking about an up-and-coming team with a great fan base and a great home court. We're talking about a team being led by De'Aaron Fox, which by no means of the word is boring. You know what I'm like? I don't know how you look at De'Aaron Fox and say he's boring. I don't know how you look at a Malik Monk and say he's boring. You know what I'm saying? So I do think the NBA media, and I'm a part of it, whether I like it or not, I think we did a bad job this season of pushing a team like the Sacramento Kings. That's on us type shit.
And so a lot of the greatness around our league, I think, gets lost to the casual fan. And I don't mean casual fan in any sort of negative connotation. I recognize that people have a lot of interest. Not everyone's obsessed with the NBA. That's great. I was asked this and I provided a response, but I want to get your response. How can we, media, ESPN specifically, whatever you want to take it, how can we be better in our coverage of the NBA?
So one team in particular strikes me right now. It became pretty clear very early that Sacramento was going to have a hell of a season, and that
and me and Doris are on the same page, man.
Fox and Domas Sabonis do their thing. We needed to get them on. That was probably a shortcoming for us. And I always have this debate. I understand we are in the business of making money. Those are facts. And money equals ratings because that equals sales. I get all of that. But I also am somebody who grew up appointment viewing basketball, because when I was a kid, I grew up next door to a park, and I was either out doing it, and actually what I was doing was watching the college basketball game that was on at 1 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it was always UCLA and Notre Dame or some, big time team like that. And then I'd go out to the park, I'd run between these hedges and be the star of the game that I just watched. But what Dave Gavitt did, Big East, and what, executives did at TV is they tell you who's important. They tell you who's important by who they put on. It's different now. You could turn on a game any the week on 7 to 10 different channels, maybe more than that at this point.
That ain't me.
But I do believe we have some power to build stars, and it is our job.
And that's the thing. I do think in this conversation, it's important to not lean toward, really in any conversation, to not really lean towards one side of the argument too much. You can't just blame it all on fans. The media is not so just reactionary. But on the other side of things, you can't just blame the media. You know what I'm saying? Because again, like what Doris said, they are in the business of making money. I am in the business of making money, right? So I am or not even primarily, but at the very least, I am going to prioritize those topics and those videos that will get clicks. Now, we'll have space for the conversations that don't, right? At least on this stream, we do. But for the majority of the time, yeah, no, we're picking on what's gonna get us ratings. Well, excuse me, we're gonna pick what gets us ratings because that's our job. That's our job. First Take is on for what, like an hour, 2 hours? Let's just say hour and a half. In 90 minutes, take off commercial breaks. Let's knock it down to, I don't know, 70 minutes. In that 70-minute time span on national TV, and your job is to engage the audience as much as possible, why would I not talk about Patrick Mahomes, LeBron, Curry? You know what I'm saying? Whatever the trending topic is, like when you know the Zion shit first started. Why would I not talk about Zion instead of, yo, the fuck are the Pistons up to this week? Oh, they signed that assistant coach. Cool. You know? I don't know, man. I don't know.
One of our failures, I believe, is outside of people who do love the NBA, do people know that, you know, one of the shooters in NBA history is Damian Lillard? Do people know that? Do enough people know how good Damian Lillard is?
I think Dame is a bad example.
I don't believe that's the case. And it's frustrating.
Dame got
but
traction.
I'm also not naive, JJ, right? This is the battle you have where women's sports are concerned, and the argument that women would make to you, it's, if you help us, we can get there. But there's the business side of, well, we need ratings and we need money. You know, I thought in the women's NCAA tournament, I had more guy friends in the same.
That is funny though. I think Doris brings up a good point. That brings up, you know, all these talk about more things warriors is what I'm gonna call them. I'm gonna find a better name. They don't have that same energy when it comes to the WNBA. When WNBA players are crying for the media to cover them more, when the WNBA is crying for ESPN to air them instead of being on ESPN2, they don't got that energy. They don't have that energy of, yo, why aren't you guys talking about the Las Vegas Aces right now, bro? Like, what? Come on, bro. Real hoops. But when it comes to the Utah Jazz, or when it comes to even the Denver Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, even though the Bleacher Report actually tweeted shit out, now motherfuckers want to have an uproar about what these media, you know, what these media companies should and shouldn't cover. Like, come on, bro. Come on.
Thing happened when Diana Taurasi was a player. And I said this because I'm very good friends with Holly and Rebecca and Ryan I've known now, and so appreciate how talented he is. I went to the Final Four for the first time as a fan this year because usually I'm working now, and I called it for so many years. And we went out for a drink, and I said to all of them, I said, you guys realize that for the next week, because the numbers, the ratings told us this, the most compelling figure in basketball for 2 weeks was Caitlin Clark. Use that, build on that. And that was our responsibility. And look at the ratings of the women's Final Four, because listen, when the NBA playoffs started, she was no longer the most compelling person. But you have these windows of opportunity to generate some momentum, and some of that is our responsibility. I don't have the executives balance it, JJ. It's an age argument. You're asking a woman who would tell you that we're still not as far societally as where we should be, but you know, we continue to make strides. So I don't know if I answered that the way you expected.
Well, no. I actually, it's funny because that was going to be a follow-up question. Because I do agree with you that the same complaints that I have through my lens about how we, again, not ESPN, just the media, about how we cover the NBA, some of those complaints also hold water when I talk about women's sports, and specifically because I'm just partial, but specifically with the way we cover NCAA women's basketball or the WNBA. Now there's also more to the coverage on that. There's more to probably a level of misogyny that exists with the casual sports fan and how they view women's sports. I don't know that we ever win that battle.
Yeah.
But a lot of the same issues. It's like you're right. We have the responsibility to promote the game. We have the responsibility to promote the personalities within the game.
Yes.
I think about my love of basketball and my love of playing when I
like I said, it's a balance. But I'm telling you right now, if we just build a platform covering the bottom tier teams of the league, and that's the platform's basis, you're not gonna get traction, bro. I'm gonna just keep it a bean. I think you will have your space, and I think that's the beauty about social media now, is that there is a space for any conversation that you want to have, right? I think back in 2008. All you really had was ESPN and the local conversations that you're having at the barbershop, right? Those are the only sports conversations that you can have. But the beauty about the internet is that there will be a page just covering the Orlando Magic, right? I don't know why I keep on bringing up the Orlando Magic. There is going to be a page that just covers the Houston Rockets. There is going to be a page that just covers the Utah Jazz. Now, it's not going to be as big as Bleacher Report. It's not going to be as big as ESPN, right? But the beauty about the internet now is that there is a space that you can enter in and have those, deep conversations. If you wanna watch more casual basketball takes and people having fun when it comes to conversating about basketball, that's when you go on this stream. That's when you watch Souls and Sage videos. But if you really want to get into the X's and O's of this shit, then you watch a Thinking Basketball, right? If you want long 2-hour video essays about NBA history, that's when you watch a player, not a player, a creator like Dylan Does Basketball. If you want NBA players directly talking about their experiences in the league, that's when you watch All the Smoke. That's when you watch a KG Certified, the podcast P Show, Gilbert Arenas. So just, again, this whole complaining about what media outlets should and shouldn't post, I think just like in the game of basketball, every media outlet has their role. All right? Some media outlets, they're tasked to do more than others. Some media outlets, they just got to play their role in this whole scheme that we got. All right? But that's fine. It doesn't mean just because, Luka Doncic is doing everything for the Dallas Mavericks and the heliocentric offense where everything needs to flow through him, that he's doing the wrong thing. That sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? To win this fucking game.